A loss, not an unexpected one, yet still a not pretty one for the Indiana Pacers. Tony East here with Locked On Pacers, here to talk about Pacers Thunder. 3rd and 4 nights in OKC. I think just about everybody who's following the Pacers in any way thought the Pacers had at least an overwhelming chance to lose. Maybe not to this extent, especially if they scored a record high total of points just 2 days earlier in DC. But this one was an interesting one for the Pacers. I thought early they looked pretty good, right? They were winning for much of the first quarter. A run late really sunk them, but they were right in it. And then the second quarter, they were battling for a bit. But mid-second quarter on, this game was all OKC, right? Pacers had a lead late-ish second quarter. I'll try to find the exact score of that moment and the latest point in the game it happened. I believe, yes, 42-41 Pacers led with 4 minutes and 20 let's just say 4 minutes and 30 seconds to go till halftime, right? So they played pretty good for about 20 minutes of this game. The Thunder won by 21. So they were 22 points better for the last 28 minutes of play. And their style is just relentless. It slowly strangles you down. And if you make mistakes, they'll punish it. And that was really thematic to me all night. OKC wins the points off turnovers battle. OKC has fewer turnovers. They did well on the glass. Their bench was good. They were great in transition with more fast break points. They did well in second chance points despite not being a team that you think of as a good rebounding team. They doubled the Pacers in second chance points. They lived in the paint. They had their 7th best ever shooting game. Like every little thing that can amount to a way you win a game, the Thunder did all of them well. And so the Pacers' margin for error was basically 0. And in the first quarter, they were shooting pretty well from deep. They were 6 for 15. They did not make a 3 in the second quarter, and they had to claw their way back from that point on. And so after that second quarter lead, Thunder were awesome to close the half, and they just never looked back. And they were gimmicking up the defenses a lot in this game, right? Very early, it was clear that this was going to be a weird one for the Pacers. Tyrese Haliburton gets doubled almost immediately. Andrew Nembhard is dribbling across the timeline. Pascal Siakam, not in transition, is taking it across the timeline. Right, the Pacers were going to have to be creative. Then the Thunder went zone against the Pacers starters. The Pacers see zone against their bench group all the time, but never against the starters. And early, they were taking advantage of it. Haliburton hit some threes. He ended up making 4 of them. But it never became any sort of flow for the Pacers. Nembhard, was fine. He had 60 points and 7 assists. I think he handled lead guard responsibilities okay, but he needed to be exceptional for them to really match that defense. They needed Miles Turner to have a great shooting night. He only took 1 3, right? The Thunder's paint defense was amazing in this game. Pascal Siakam continued a streak of just for his standards kind of play. Aaron Nesmith did not continue his excellent play. You could say, these guys just all had a down night at the same time. I thought it was the Thunder's defense being goofy in a good way and exceptionally together when they switched up schemes or went zones, whoever was on the floor. They even lost Isaiah Hartenstein mid-game. They were running out of centers. They played Brandon Carlson over 12 and a half minutes, no problem, right? They found ways to go small. They were just really exceptional on the defensive end. The Pacers finished with just 40 points in the paint. It's so hard to win playing that way. You have to shoot it really well. Pacers made 14 threes. That's okay. They made 19 free throws. That's okay. But they didn't get enough of the other stuff. That stuff I talked about earlier that OKC was so good in. The second chance points, the points in transition, all sorts of little things that can amount to a big thing. And so I don't think anyone that I watched on the Pacers tonight was like really bad, right? There were stretches where, TJ McConnell had 2 turnovers in his first stint. That wasn't great. And, they saw a bunch of missed shots from their starters late in the first half. That wasn't great. There were obviously stretches where guys needed to be better on one end or the other, but I never felt like anyone was playing awful. The Thunder were just playing way better. And the stat I tweeted out after the game that really showed the talent gap. OKC, this was their 48th win by double digits this season. The final score was 132-11. They won by 21. The Pacers have 43 wins total. The Pacers are good, right? They're 4th in the East. They could host a series. They're hanging in there with the West Indians. I think they'd be a playoff team in the West. Yes, they'd be 5th in the West right now by win percentage. They're right there. They had no chance for much of this game. You could really boil it down to 2 stretches. This is something OKC does very well. They had an 11-0 run and a 10-0 run, both in the second quarter, I believe. And that was game. They won by 21. That's two stretches that really defined the game. The 10-0 run might have been in the first quarter. They were both in the first half, to be clear. Yes, the 10-0 run was in the first quarter. Excuse me, the 11-0 run was in the first quarter, and the 10-0 run was in the second quarter. Those two runs were the game. Outside of that, the Pacers were even with the Thunder. Now, that's a very rosy way of looking at the game, but that's what the Thunder can do, is regardless of who's on the floor, they can find these little advantages. And so if you are the Pacers and you make one sub too early or too late, or you have one lineup out there that isn't perfect for the situation, or you're just missing 4 times in a row, you might be screwed, right? And the Thunder take advantage of those little things so well. On defense, Lou Dort made 6 of his 7 threes. It's going to be tough to beat the Thunder when that happens. I mean, again, they had their 7th best three-point percentage in a game this season. The Thunder have one loss when they shoot 41% or better from deep this season, which they've done 22 times. Today was one of those days. And they're undefeated when they even sniff the percentage they hit in this game. They're that good, right? Even if the Pacers played better, they probably would have lost given that. But Lou Dort was exceptional with his shooting. He just is a beast against the Pacers this season. J-Dub was really good in the minutes that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was off the floor. He had 18 points for OKC. I thought he had a lot of burst in this game. Shai, of course, was amazing with his 33.7 boards and 8 assists. It's going to be tough to defend him. You look at his plus-minus, plus 17. That's why those J-Dub minutes were so huge. The Thunder won the minutes by 4 with Shai off the floor in 17 minutes, right? If they're controlling the game like that, and I get they're really deep and talented, they didn't have Chet Holmgren in this game. They didn't have Aaron Wiggins in this game. They only had half of Isaiah Hartenstein in this game. Like, they were missing real players, and they still had a deep, talented group that could play really well. Caruso's defense was excellent. I thought Isaiah Joe was exceptional. He was 5 for 7 from deep as well. So just Dort, Shai, and Isaiah Joe made as many threes as the Pacers. Good luck beating the Thunder when that happens. So for all the things, I thought the Pacers did okay. I thought Nembhard did good enough running the show. They may have needed a little bit more from him from a shooting perspective, but was fine as the lead ball handler. You know, as much as their defense early was pretty good against a good Thunder team, as much as the Pacers bench gave them good minutes, 10 points from Ben Shepherd, 10 points from Jarris Walker, 12 from Obi Toppin, not having a Ben Mathurin to shake things up, not having 48 minutes of defense, third game in 4 nights, best team in the NBA. The Pacers just didn't have enough, and I don't think anyone's going to hold it against them. The Thunder are that good, and they showed it again in this game. It's how the Pacers respond that will matter. Detroit's right on their tails. Milwaukee's right on their tails. The Knicks keep winning. The Pacers are close to locking up their range of seeds as 3 to 6, but they've got a week coming up that they've got to take advantage of. Kings, Jazz, and Hornets, and they've got to play better than they did in this game against Thunder. I'll be at all 3 of those games, break them down right here on this channel and on the Locked On Pacers podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Catch you after Monday's game, Pacers versus Kings.